something here. I think I'm fine. If this is my left arm, I'd be set. I'd be good.
See if I can talk him into a red dodge for you. That's what my temperature in my house.
No, he's got some kid stuff.
Hey, Miss Davis, how you doing? Good to see you.
Okay. Well, we couldn't do that tonight, but because it's not on the agenda. Not to rescind it. I mean, you'd have to make a motion. Yeah, but to talk about it, sure. Got litigation. Yeah.
I'd be open to modify it, but I wouldn't rescind it because we never might get it on the books again. That's my opinion. It's just me, you know. But
Hey, JD.
we just needed to have both on the agenda.
All these cords. I was like, you do this every meeting. It's like, why are you here? Because I forget all my cords. I want to tell you, you
Like
should
you need
find
a little satchel like this.
I have a nice little Dollar Snow backpack, but I can tell you what happened. But all of this filled up with crap, so then I ended up just taking. I mean, I know you find it hard pressed to believe that's something that I own. We get filled up with crap, but
Have you seen how this car? Have you ridden that? No, you can't. I agree with that. I think that's a good thing.
Hey, Gene, how you doing? Happy New Year to you.
Doing good?
the one that still will always surprise me with my car is how there is slosh
On this computer.
like on the ceiling of my car. That is the one. There is stuff all over the roof, like little splash marks, and that's the part that I cannot comprehend. Like, what are you people? What are you little humans doing to get? I did Todd.
Yeah.
I know. I haven't told Todd, but he was pulling in the driveway today, and the sun was hitting just right, and it looked like a horror movie. You know, one of those handprints going down the passenger front side, right down the side. He's got one of our kid prints.
All right.
Hey, why is this not?
Handles, see, don't have to worry about it.
All righty.
Let's go. Weird looking. Yeah, that's, I guess that's a lake up on top of the bluff, and then you got the ocean. Never seen
That
it.
it is.
I'm about to order 45 chargers. No matter how many chargers I have, none of them ever seem to work. Todd was telling me, I just plugged that one in. I want to tell you what, you know, and you didn't plug it in right.
Oh.
Oh, we're ready. I'm sorry. I'm paying attention. All right, call to order, January 7th, 2025, City Council meeting. For the first thing, Reverend Reed, could you lead us in prayer for our first meeting of the year?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Let's pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Now, Father, as we stand tonight, Father, here in the center of the city seat of government, Father, we just request once again your wisdom. We've heard that you have a storehouse that is hidden full of wisdom. And Father, that's what we need, that we might have insight and comprehensions of the things that you would have us to have insight and comprehensions in, and to lead our city, oh God, in a way that, God, is according to its destiny. So Father, again, crown our head with your wisdom, give us that understanding and that comprehension and insight, Father, that our city might always be a place apart. In the name of your Son, Jesus, we ask. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
All right, well, welcome everybody to our meeting today, and hope everybody had a good holiday. First up, do we have any amendments that need to be added to the agenda tonight? No, just the one.
I just have one under my report.
Okay.
Which I gave to you and Caitlin.
All right.
Motion to authorize the administration to process a check payable to Bayou Solutions doing business as Shade Doctor LLC in the amount of $11,600 following the receipt and installation of the sunscreen at 1928 Depot Way for the sunscreen on the stage at the train depot grounds from the Capital Projects Fund, account number 305-192-900-333.
Okay.
And when that comes up, I'll explain.
Okay.
what's going on.
Thank you. Let's see, first up announcements, January, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna tip out. Is that, because of the complaint they were having with the sun shining? and
Correct.
that-
Yeah, it authorized us to
Yeah, on the-
make that purchase. So we did the PO. They had to order the product. It's here. The guy called me today and said we can install tomorrow at 8 a.m. and wanted payment after. And I said, I can't do that. So I said, let me see if we can do this to make sure I have a check, that type of thing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, announcements, January 20th, City Hall will be closed for Martin Luther King Day. January 21st is the next scheduled city council meeting. And January 31st is the candidate qualifying day ends. And so if you're getting ready to run, now is the time to get your thing before the 31st. No guests today. Let's say minutes, minutes approval. Do we have any corrections needed?
Nope, motion approved.
Okay, motion approved by Councilman Seal,
Second.
second by Councilman Hoffman. Any discussion? Vote the motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 6-0. Just note, Councilman Lewis is not here tonight. Mayor's report, motion to purchase 6 2024 Dodge Durango Police PPP. What's PPPV? From Kirk Brothers, Sunset, for $40,100 per vehicle with a total purchase price of $240,600 using a lease purchase financing.
Yeah, we had it approved up to 250, I think it was, 250,000. For that, we did the reverse auction. We're fortunate enough to come up with 6 vehicles right now. That, last few years hadn't been able really to get any vehicles with COVID and all started and everything, and the supply and the demand is just not there for it. So, I'd like to move forward with the purchase of these 6 vehicles.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion, Councilman DeSalvo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Hoffman. Any discussion? Oh, when are they gonna be here? They're available? Okay.
Yeah, they there.
Oh, they're there?
This is 24 models.
Okay.
And it's already budgeted, where we get the
We
money
have,
Yeah, it's
we
lease
have,
purchase.
yeah. And our lease purchase there.
Okay, so this was budgeted, and if no other discussion, vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
And Kirk Auto World bid for, okay, that was the other bids, right? Okay, next up.
Yeah, that was just that's just the other information.
Okay, let's see. Mike, you want to talk about your parcel of land?
The resolution,
Yeah.
and yeah, so not sure why, but that motion does not have, it needs to contain, that's for 3013 Second Street, Bay St. Louis, and this is simply to set a public hearing to declare whether or not this piece of property is a menace. I think when I searched my email going back, I have correspondence with this landowner dating back as far as, I want to say 2018. So we just want to get that set for public hearing. We'll provide all the notices.
Okay,
And see if it's a menace.
I make a motion.
okay, got a motion from Councilman DeSalvo,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Reed, the motion to approve setting a public hearing to determine if parcel of land is a menace to public health,
This the one with
safety,
the
and
old
welfare.
house up top of the hill there?
No, this is, no, different
all-
Second Street, Sixth Ward,
Yeah,
Second
yeah.
Street.
Okay, okay.
This is
Yeah,
off, what is that,
Second Street
560?
spelled out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right behind the daycare off 603 back in there.
Gotcha, gotcha,
Second road back in there.
gotcha. All right.
Okay, so it's a resolution setting a hearing to determine if a parcel of land is a menace to public
Yeah,
health
and-
and safety.
Yeah, parcel land, that should say 3013 Second Street by St. Louis.
And welfare of the community at 3013
3013 Second Street, spelled out Second Street.
Okay, spelled out. Tax parcel 138 G George -0-46-108.000. If there's any more discussion? No, vote to motion.
All right.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 6-0. Let's see, next item, highway 603 lights poles?
Yeah, we approved, a couple meetings back, a couple months now, the replacement of 5 poles, I think it was $40-something thousand, whatever. And we're looking at, we had ordered enough material, which should be in at the end of this month, sometime in January, but they said it should be by the end of the month, for 8 more poles, but we're looking at also getting the purchase of 5 more poles. That would give us 18 poles on 603 to replace. You know, one person took out 5 poles, or 6, or 5, I think it was 5 right there by, south of Bayou LaCroix Bridge. So there's a couple in there we want to replace, and on the north side of the bridge, we got about 6 or 8. A lot of, it might be about 6 of those in a row that's been taken out over a period of time, but we want to replace some of these as well.
Did we budget to replace poles this year?
We did, and some of it is insurance money that we've received. You know, we don't collect on all of our insurance, some of them don't have it, and this and that, and we, you know, but some of it, we collected on the 5 from the guy that struck those 5 and everything, and we do have, funds for the other as well.
Ronnie was just able to get those quotes to us at 4 o'clock. That's why, if y'all want to kick this to the next meeting, he just said,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
there's no
Yeah,
rush
this
for it.
wasn't
Just-
on here,
yeah.
so that's
No,
gonna
no,
have,
it
So,
just got put
just-
on today.
That's why we kind of put it.
We're
just to
moving forward
Give y'all
with
an
the other
update,
end.
the other ones we approved.
but
yeah.
wanted to show you, he had the quotes at 4 o'clock. I said, we'll make copies and hand them out, but we'll have it on the next agenda for approval.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, since it was available, wanted to go ahead and get it to you guys, just in case you wanted to go ahead and approve it and get those lights fixed, so you have it.
While they're
But
out
with the
there.
understanding, yeah, while they were out there, but with the understanding that if you wanted to kick it to the next agenda, you could totally do that.
So one's for the 5 that we already ordered, correct?
No,
That's already been done.
It's already
no,
done.
these are 2 quotes, Gary, one's from Mississippi Power and one's from Weaver Electric. So it's for the 5 additional poles.
This would be for 5 more through them.
With Mississippi Power at a total of 36,768 and Weaver Electric at 52,500.
Okay, so total we'll be putting up 10 poles.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Caitlin, would you put this on for the next agenda, please? And let's see, what's next? Anything else, Mike?
No, sir, appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's see. Okay, motion to accept donation of 2 antique ornamental oak benches to be placed at the train depot in honor of Edward Favre and Myrna Green. And let's see, we have a little letter that they would like read in. And on behalf of Lonnie and Tina Falgout family, Mike and Joan Krawcheck family, Jonathan and Jamie Favre family, the Men Refuge plus Alice Mosley Museum Foundation would like to donate these 2 benches to the city of St. Louis to be honorably displayed within the depot building area to commemorate the life and services and dedication of Edward Eddie Favre and Myrna Green individually. Commemorative tags will be attached to each bench respectively. A celebration of their achievements and unveiling will be held in the near future and with posted date and celebration. This celebration will be a collaborative effort by Alice Mosley Museum, Hancock County Tourism Bureau Director, Board, and the Hancock County Chamber of Commerce. You have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion, Councilman DeSalvo.
Second.
Second, Councilman Reed. Any discussion? A vote to motion?
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 6-0. That's nice, that's a nice donation.
Yeah, they look great.
Yeah, I did, I saw a picture of them, they're nice wrought iron with nice finished wood, they're very nice. So let's see, next, discussion on short-term rentals. Did anybody sign up to talk about this? Cliff? Yeah, you might as well just bring it up now, that'd be fine.
So, I'm confused as to what's. So is the council discussing the short-term rentals or is the public?
Well, they signed up to talk about it, so,
Okay, so are we jumping to public forum?
well, that's next, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, because I just remind the council that you do have a notice of appeal, so you may want to consider going into an executive session to discuss anything with short-term rentals
Okay.
before having an open meeting,
Before, what?
having an open conversation.
Well, yeah, but they can still address us.
I was addressing the council.
Oh, okay. You got the-
I'm not gonna address the specifics in the order.
Thank you.
In the August meet, Cliff Rabelais, 702 3rd Street. Back in the August meeting, I found out y'all were gonna discuss the vacation rental ordinance. It was mostly a secret, and I think I said that then, and I was told, oh, no, it came out on the agenda that was emailed to everybody. And at that meeting, people here found out that, oh, no, we don't email agendas anymore. So it was not advertised. It was indeed, because we had previously been getting emails. So it was a secret. The public didn't know about it except a very few people who showed up. And you guys know, in all the years that we went over there, and Doug, you're right, kicked the can for 10 years. That room filled up every time we had that discussion. And there was a crowd, probably less than this that night, because nobody knew you guys were gonna be talking about it. Myself and at least 2 other people suggested that maybe you should advertise a workshop and have some public input. The comment was made that we need to pass an ordinance and quit kicking this can down the road. Remember who made that comment?
Probably me.
Yes, it was, sir.
2013, we've been kicking this can.
Doug, I don't, I will agree with that, because I've been working on both sides of it, so. But, at a recent meeting, I came here and said, guys, y'all pass this ordinance. I don't own a vacation rental anymore, I got out of that business. Because believe it or not, it's not terribly profitable until you sell it and take it to capital gain. But, I got out of business. But at a recent meeting, I said, guys, nobody knows that y'all passed this ordinance. Well, I guess somewhere somebody started seeing things and reading things, and at least one of you has gotten phone calls from constituents saying, what in the devil have y'all done? I can be charged with a misdemeanor or something. Yeah, I mean, gentlemen, I'm going to suggest that you seriously consider, and I know y'all can't do it tonight, but that you at least pause this, back up and do what you should have done in August. And yes, and Josh, I agree with you. If you take it off the books, you may never get it back on the books. Well, if you can't get it back on the books because of public sentiment, maybe it should have never been there in the first place. I would ask that you pause it and at the appropriate time do the public hearings like you should, make it publicly knowledgeable, take the input, and then pass an ordinance that the citizens can live with. I think Reverend Reed and I discussed it, and I referred to it as the Aesop's fable about the goose that lays the golden egg. You start bleeding the goose. I talked to some of the other people who have had them for a long time, and they're getting out of that business. So now, when people come to town, they're going to stay in Gulfport or someplace else that has hotels, but it's not going to be places to stay here. You're bleeding the golden goose, guys. Be careful what you do. It's going to affect you in the future. So I would ask that y'all at least give that some consideration. And Ms. Heather, you're right. They probably have to go into executive session to do such. But let's have a public You know, because the feeling is, I can tell you, I get phone calls, just like you guys do, that this was snuck in under when nobody was paying attention. That is the gut feel I get from the people who, well, they snuck it in while nobody was watching. Thank you for listening to me, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cliff. Let's see, John, you coming?
Shit, let's read.
I'm sorry.
Oh, see you.
John Oman, 110 Demontleson Avenue. God, I hate following Cliff.
You had a chance.
The couple that was here at the last meeting in December who spoke about the ordinance and I think they live on Union Street, 200 block. They made some very good points that I know I observed that all of you paid attention to. And I think Mr. Knobloch might have said, hinted that maybe the regulation was passed in a hurry. I don't know anything about that. I've never read the regulation. I don't know if I will in the future or not. But I just wanted to remind everybody, or the ones who weren't here, that about 10 years ago in this room, when Wendy was Ward 2, Wendy McDonald was Ward 2 council person, there was a discussion about this, and it was said that there were people in her ward that it was common knowledge that they were renting rooms overnight. And people knew about it, including some people in the city, and kind of looked the other way because the word was, well, this was helping some of them stay in their houses and pay the thing. I know we need regulations to protect the visiting public, and I'm sure you're aware that that couple, as they pointed out, the online booking agents do in large part take care of a lot of the things you want the ordinance to do. So you need to take that into consideration. But again, I said, all I want to do is just please ask you to keep those people in mind who, you know, maybe for them it does mean being able to stay in their houses. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, is that Breland?
Welcome. Welcome.
Okay. That's fine. Okay. Mary Ellen Warner.
Good evening. I'm Mary Ellen Warner. The address is 414 3rd Street. And I came here today on behalf of my husband, Bob, and myself. We have several short-term rentals. We're deeply embedded into the community, love Bay St. Louis, and my husband grew up here, and have some concerns about the ordinance in its present form, and would like making a suggestion that we have a public hearing to go over some of the concerns that we have. And I think there's quite a few, I've called quite a few people, and they are not aware of this ordinance. The communication is probably could be improved. We have, we've been in the business about 12 years, and our first project was 414 3rd Street. That house was in foreclosure and in terrible, terrible shape. It is on the register, and spent 3 years restoring it, and actually fell into a short-term rental opportunity as a tax rebate. So we started doing it that way, and that helped us to pay for expenses, and have taken lots of recommendations from our guests and read a lot about being a host, and feel like it's our responsibility to be a good steward of the properties and to be a part of our neighborhood. I've learned about some guests that are not completely transparent about what their plans are, and work really hard not to have parties and disrupt the neighborhood and the full-time residents' privacy. I also think that, we are ambassadors to Bay St. Louis. We have lots of returning guests. There's actually several guests, I don't know the percentage, but there's at least 10 guests that have bought property in Bay St. Louis and have fallen in love with it. So I think it's delicate balance to be respectful of the full-time residents and also the short-term hosts and property owners, that we work together closely and have a good relationship with our neighbors and also with y'all and the rest of the administration for Bay St. Louis. So we'd like an opportunity to share some of our concerns, not tonight, but in another setting, that maybe some of these things could be worked out.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Warner. Ms. Kathleen Monty?
I guess I'm gonna be the bad guy here. And I don't mean to, because short-term rentals serve a purpose. I have family members that come in town and they like to rent them all the time as well, too. I missed the December Kathleen Monty, 105 Sycamore, sorry. I missed the December meeting, and I had someone call me, Ann, and tell me that it was on that agenda, or it came up anyway. It wasn't actually on the agenda. And so I went back and I listened to the meeting, which, by the way, the New Year's resolution for everybody ought to be, please speak into your microphones. We can't hear you when you're doing this way back here, or if someone's standing right over there and you're addressing them. We cannot hear them at all. But anyway, after watching the meeting, there were several points that Megan brought up. Isn't it Megan? Okay. Megan brought up that were of a concern to her. And so in an effort to look at it objectively, I thought maybe it'd be beneficial to look at the ordinances for Bay St. Louis, Diamond Head, Waveland, and Pass Christian, and put them out there, to see what some of the concerns were and if legitimately they are addressed or not addressed in other ordinances. Well, one of the things I heard in that December meeting was, I think there was some objections to wanting to have their phone numbers, addresses, and names publicly distributed in Bay St. Louis, and then also the contact person and what those requirements were. That was one. And another one had to do with off-street parking. That was another thing. And then penalties for violation. That was another thing. So just very quickly, the owner or the local contact person requirements in Bay St. Louis is 24/7, response time 30 minutes. Diamond Head, 24/7, response time 60 minutes. Must live within 25 miles of a STR. Waveland, 24/7, must live within 10 miles. Pass Christian, 24/7, response time 60 minutes, must live within 25 miles of the STR. Off-street parking requirement, Bay St. Louis, yes. Diamond Head, yes. Waveland, preferred. But if, that's not required, but if they go and decide that you need to have parking, they can tell you you've got to build something or make parking off-street. And the same thing for Pass Christian, preferred, but, with the big but, we can require you to provide off-site parking. Is the address, phone numbers of the owners and or local persons available to the public? I didn't spot that in our ordinance in Bay St. Louis, but the application in teeny tiny print does say all information on this form is a public record. I don't find that offensive. I find that being publicly responsible. Diamond Head, the ordinance says the city police will have a list. Waveland, yes, it's public record. Pass Christian, yes, contact information is distributed to adjacent owners and posted on the city website. The penalties for violation, Bay St. Louis, every single one of these cities, it's a misdemeanor. I think you mentioned last time, Heather, that, anything that you do in Bay St. Louis, if you violate one of the ordinances, it's a misdemeanor. But not all the penalties are the same, and they do vary greatly. But in Bay St. Louis, you've got $500 for your first offense, In Diamond Head, not less than $500, not to exceed $1,000. Waveland, up to $1,000 for the first offense within a calendar year. Permit revocation up to 1 year, and then the penalties increase for the second year thereafter. Pass Christian, it's even higher. I think if the main objection that I heard was that we don't want to be getting a misdemeanor because our guests are making noise, and we can, be charged for that. I'm sure that there's some way that, the ordinance can be written. I didn't take that. When I read the ordinance, I didn't take it that it was if your guest is going to be charged with having the police come out, that the owner is going to get it. I know, because I'm familiar with the noise ordinance, that the police have to give a warning. And if I'm the owner of that rental, then once they get the warning, if I get a warning too and know that they've gotten a warning, I'm not going to have any problem unless I need the police to get them out. And then I'm going to be the one that says, help me, help me here. And so if that's the sticky point, fine, I think maybe that can be worked around. In Bay St. Louis, we have the lowest application rental and renewal rental of all four of these. The highest is Pass Christian at $400 per rental. You have limits in Pass Christian, only 150 units in the whole city. In Waveland, it's something like 5% of the total habitable houses in the city, and that's reviewed supposedly quarterly to determine what that number is going to be. In Bay St. Louis, we don't have any restrictions like that, none. When I checked in the financial things, I'm not quite sure today, but in the financial report you're looking at tonight, I think y'all have, 70 people? 70 units that have been recorded or registered? 120 now?
230 something applications.
123. I was supposed.
Y'all have to speak into the mic, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
I think we have 123 registered and 230 something.
186 others total have applied.
Have applied.
Still pending information.
Okay. The one thing I was not clear on was, who actually is approving the process. If that's going through the building department, I was a little shaky on that one. But that is to say, I'm not real sure why everybody's getting all up in arms over this, except, because it's much harder to have vacation rentals in the other cities than it is for our city. There ought to be some basic rules. And what we have as a policy right now as an ordinance is very, very basic compared to everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Monty. Next up is Matt McDade. Is that McDade? Thank you. Yes, there's one. Okay, Madrid and Megan Delano. Delgado, sorry. No, I can read it. I'm sorry.
Okay, Ms. Monty, I'm glad that she brought up those concerns that she had. I don't have anything prepared tonight. I think I said everything last time that I needed to say. But I think part of the problem is a general misunderstanding of the business itself. I'm going to try to remember what all she said. Okay, about the noise ordinance stuff. All that's handled already. And in terms of if you get the police down, they give them a citation, all that, and then I want to get them thrown out. I can't do that because I have an actual legal binding agreement with them that they have tenants' rights at that point. So just like you can't throw out somebody that's in a long-term rental, you can't throw out a short-term rental either. So, okay, just a little pin in that. The other thing that she mentioned was, what was the first thing?
I'm sorry.
What was the next one?
Information. listed
Okay,
for-
information. Oh, no,
Public
comparing cities,
information.
the other cities to what we do. It really doesn't matter what the other cities are doing. I mean, I'm really not concerned with how bad or good their ordinances are. Some cities are charging thousands of dollars. I understand this council wanted to charge more when they initially started. So
Charge
I-
more? You mean like
charge-
for the license?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
so I don't doubt that that fee would increase next year. That doesn't make it right. I actually think that you should exempt people who live in their homes. And you should include long-term rentals. There's no reason to exempt long-term rentals. People renting out of their homes or buying a property and renting it long-term. Why are they not involved in this ordinance? And it's not that basic of an ordinance. There's a lot of repeating stuff in it. It could be slimmer. You know, it's regular lay people that have to read it. You know, you could cut out some stuff that says like, all tenants need to follow the law. Yes. Yeah, that doesn't need to be in there, obviously. You know, the noise ordinance stuff, we already have an ordinance. So, and the problem with the misdemeanor stuff is that it's on the wrong person. You know, so, and it does say in there, specifically, it says that it's the property owner that's gonna be held accountable for that. I think the fees are too high, and it's over the little things. Like, it can be your garbage can that's out in the street, and now I can get a misdemeanor and a fine. And the thing is, it's potential for abuse. That's the problem. That someone, whoever is on the city council, y'all aren't gonna be here forever, you know, and I mean, I don't really know y'all personally anyway, but, you know, I mean, you're creating something that's bigger than you, that will go on forever and will just grow and grow and grow. And it's just important that we do it right. And I'm all right with, you know, some rules, some regulation, but let's let it be fair and reasonable. You know, I don't want to be targeted and have to pay $500. And there's not even a process for it to make sure that it's done right and that it's fair. I mean, there can just be an accusation of somebody who doesn't like having neighbors that are, you know, renting out their house. But again, I don't see it happening to me. My street, we all get along really well. We pretty much all rent out, some long-term, some short. But it doesn't sit well with me that it could happen to somebody else. And like I said, okay, other cities, well, that doesn't have anything to do with us. Y'all represent us. We vote here. I'm not sure what, just because everybody else is doing it, we should do it too. If everybody else jumps off a bridge, should we do it too? No, it doesn't have anything to do with us. So we just stay on our ordinance. Does our ordinance fit our town? You know, Biloxi doesn't want to let very many Airbnbs go in at all. And I think that's because the casinos want that business. So, I mean, is that what we want to do? If so, well, I guess we can do that. We can limit Airbnbs, but we need to realize what we're doing and not just say, oh, tax everybody. They're just an endless well of money, you know? And the last thing was that we've been needing an ordinance. We've just been kicking it down the road. We've been needing an ordinance. We've been needing an ordinance. But I don't hear why. I just hear the answer is because we've been needing it. And that's circular logic. We need an ordinance because we've been needing an ordinance for 11 years, guys. We've been needing this ordinance. We've been trying to get this ordinance for 11 years. We've been needing this ordinance. But why do we need it? Because we've been needing it. I can't, you know, everybody else has an ordinance. Dang it, we need one too. We need an ordinance. I don't know. It's just, it's got me pulling out my hair. Can't believe it. All right, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Matt McDade? Did I pronounce that correct? Yeah. Thank you.
Good evening, Matt McDade, 1310 25th Avenue, Gulfport, Mississippi. Full disclosure, I represent Robert and Mary Ellen Warner, also represent them in the pending appeal. I spoke with Heather before tonight to make sure she consented to me speaking.
Okay.
Don't intend to speak at all about the pending appeal. I just kind of want to echo what Mrs. Warner said. I don't know that I can put it in any better words than she did. Nobody understands and wants a common sense regulation on short-term rentals more than the people who do it right, because they are interested in weeding out the bad ones just as much as anybody. What we have in this ordinance is something that was, and I get it, it might have met all the timelines required, but we felt like it was done pretty quick on about a 14-day notice. My folks have always been willing to sit down to try to address some of the issues they think need to be addressed. One thing for them is making sure that everybody's paying their taxes. They pay taxes on this every year through the state of Mississippi. They want to make sure everybody else they're competing with is actually also paying their taxes. They'd love to see that addressed in the ordinance. Some kind of representation made by the individuals that are submitting an application that they're actually filing and paying their taxes as required. The opportunity is here to sit down with those who are most interested and find a regulation that actually works, find a regulation that identifies the problems, the problem host, I'm using that term loosely, the ones that are creating any potential issues, whatever issues might be out there, and address the problem with the ordinance we've got. And Megan said it best, there's a lot of discretion. There's a lot of discretion that can be used if it's held in the wrong hands. It could be pointed at my clients today. My clients have been a short-term rental host for a long time in Bay St. Louis, never had issues, but they don't live within 20 miles. They could be targeted today, and they're not the problem that I believe is trying to be addressed, but yet the way this ordinance is written, it could be weaponized against them today. And I'm not saying anybody here intends to, but this council's not going to be the one always making those decisions. And so I think what there is an opportunity here, there's an opportunity to pause it. There's an opportunity to suspend it, to see if there's some amendments that can be made to it, and to make it something that actually works for both those that are investing in the community through these short-term rentals, as well as those who think there's issues out there that need to be addressed. One quick note on comparing it to other communities. Bay St. Louis is pretty unique in this. Understand other communities have different needs, but I certainly don't think you can compare Diamond Head's needs for short-term rentals to Bay St. Louis. I think those are vital for the economic industry, the tourism industry within Bay St. Louis, and those are extremely important. And so my request on behalf of my client would be to suspend what's there now, have an open forum, have an opportunity to have input from other folks, come up with some common sense regulation that doesn't allow the teeth. One example that Megan gave that I'll echo on is, under this ordinance, the city has the discretion to suspend somebody's short-term rental license for 3 complaints. Not prosecutions, 3 complaints. And the argument is, well, you could appeal those. Well, the problem is during that 60, 30, 60, 45-day appeal process, they can't operate. You watch what happens on your reviews when you shut down and cancel a bunch of reservations for 60 days. You're extremely detrimental to that person's business going forward. Before I go book a short-term rental, the first thing I'm gonna do is look at the reviews and see what other guests have said. If my neighbor can complain about me 3 times and shut me down, it can wipe out that business long term. And so just some things like that can be addressed through some amendments. That's what we would request the opportunity to do. Thank y'all again for allowing me to speak. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. And that was the last one on the public forum. Any comments from the council? I'd like the opportunity to go in executive session later and talk to the counselor and see where we stand with this, and then maybe come back when this has been finished with the court portion of it, so that we can move, either reopen it at a later date and talk about other amendments or something like that. But that's basically all we can do tonight. And but I appreciate y'all coming in and giving y'all's views on this. But we need to get an update in a little bit on the status. Yes, sir. Sure.
Cliff Wright-Blade, 702 3rd Street. When I first came to Bay St. Louis many years ago, I had a heck of a time understanding what the economic driver was in this town. It took me a long time to figure it out. We have no industry. If you cut off every VRBO in the city of Biloxi, would it really affect the city of Biloxi? If you cut off every VRBO in the city of Gulfport, would it really affect that city? No. They have an economic basis other than tourism. If you cut off every VRBO in Diamond Head, is it gonna really affect the city of Diamond Head or the, whatever they are? No. Will it affect Waveland? Probably. Will it affect Bay St. Louis? With a sledgehammer. We go back to my Aesop's fable. Be careful how hard you bleed that goose that lays the golden egg. Because, yes, the other cities have ordinances. The other cities can live without tourists. We can't. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Let's see, moving the agenda, let's see. Next up, city clerk's report.
Council business, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gene.
Thank everybody for talking tonight on the ordinance, and like I said, we'll go into executive session and kind of go from there as to whether we can schedule anything going forward while the legal action is pending. But Mike, regarding the pickleball courts, just want to say everybody's enjoying them, seem to be very well used. I'm getting some complaints though from residents and people that live on the street and others as far as the parking. I know we have the parking lot that's there for the park in general, and unfortunately people are choosing not to use that parking lot. They're deciding to park right in front of the courts on the side of the street, which is of course tearing up the grass and the ground, and with the recent rains rutting up some of the area, making it look very bad for brand new courts and brand new area that we just sodded and finished. So two suggestions. One obviously was no parking signs right there long term. I think there's one temporary sign that someone actually moved over to the side because it's a movable sign, and so they just moved it out of the way, parked there anyway. Or the other suggestion was to plant some trees or some sort of landscaping type improvement along that area so people can't park there off the side of the street unless we choose to designate that completely as parking and pave that. You know,
that's a long-term plan,
long-term as well. So
put angle parking in on that side, on that over along the road there, and eventually possibility on Carroll's side as well.
yeah, I think until we do something like that, we need to do something
we
to
can do
keep it
something.
clean and looking nice, so
Yeah.
it's not getting
Agreed.
damaged. Especially this time of year, because the grass doesn't grow back.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
obviously, as the cold comes in, it's going to look bad for 3 or 4 months until you know things start to get back to summertime and springtime. So just a recommendation for that area.
Thanks.
Josh?
I'm good, thank you.
Linda?
Just to, Mr. Riso, I sent you an email about the service station on the service road. The conditions of it, the fence being broken down, some kids are playing in the sided area.
Yeah, I was told by Ricky that property had sold recently and they were doing an environmental
Yes.
review or something on it. So it sounds like there's a change of ownership.
Okay.
And possibly some other things that are gonna be happening there, especially if environmental, that's the gas station next.
It's
They're
pending sale based on the information.
Environmental.
But they also sent out today letters to the owners and whoever the real estate company is that has it up for rent, sent them letters again to come in and secure it and the metal hanging and everything else until something happens with the sale of it.
Yep. Yeah, thank you on that. It's kids playing inside that area, and some of the residents were concerned and told them to call the police and have them hopefully just come scare them away. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm good. I don't have anything. Let's see. Moving. Let's see, city clerk's report.
Yes, sir. Motion to approve docket of claims 25-001 dated January 7, 2025, in the amount of $354,340.06. I had not received any comments or questions from anyone.
Yeah, I'll send you an email. Motion to approve, I didn't see anything, we had one question, but I can clear it up later on.
Okay, motion to approve docket of claims, number 25-001 dated January 7th, 2025, in the amount of $354,340.06. We have a second?
Second.
Second by, he beat you, by Josh DeSalvo. Any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Mr. Reed had to leave.
Okay, I do have one more question.
Go ahead.
Kind of council business. How are we looking on the parking garage improvements and when that may be reopened?
They did a final walkthrough today. They got a punch list, so we should be opening up in the next few, I think it's the end of the month or
End of the month
next
is our first scheduled event, so sometime in hopefully that last week of the month, we would do a ribbon cutting of some sort with the
2
council.
weeks or so, we'll get it open and ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, they've moved their trailer out. I mean, it's
All right, perfect.
a
Thank you.
few items on punch list. We did get an assessment of all the lighting on the perimeter, 'cause there's some light bulbs, things that are not working.
Right.
So that's one thing we got an assessment on that today, so Ronnie and I are gonna get together and discuss that.
All right, thank you.
But it looks a lot better.
Okay, let's see. The consent agenda?
I had one other motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh, yeah,
So I'd ask for a motion to authorize the administration to process a check payable to Bayou Solutions doing business as Shade Doctor LLC in the amount of $11,600 following the receipt and installation of the sunscreen at 1928 Depot Way for the sunscreen on the stage at the Train Depot grounds from the Capital Projects Fund, account number 305-192-900-333. I got a call today, basically the guy has got the sign in, he can install it tomorrow morning, but he asked about payment. Obviously, we have to have docket approval, things like that. So he told me I had to wait 2 weeks so I can try and see if the council would allow me to have the check ready. So after we inspect it, it's installed, we can pay, just like if we were going to pick up a car and we had to pay when we get there.
What's the warranty on this thing?
Ooh, I don't know off the top of my head from when, it's been a couple of weeks. I can find out and get that to you. I just don't know off the top of my head.
The only problem that I have is when you do something like this and it's rushed up and everybody's in a hurry to go ahead and approve it, make sure that it's installed correctly. And if you find something later on, we don't have a recourse because he's been paid. And, I mean, but that's just my opinion on that. And this is very unusual. I don't think we've ever done this.
I have not, I don't think asked for this, but I'm either that or I'm telling, he's gonna have to wait 2 weeks and I'll put it on the next docket. I mean.
It sounds to me that this is a company that's not used to doing a lot of business with governmental entities, so they're just not familiar with the governmental process. So when it came in and just the fact that you guys had a council, because the process wasn't rushed as far as they've been dealing with the vendor, had the sunshade ordered, and it just happens that he comes in, he's scheduled tomorrow to come put it in. And then he says, well, wait a second, I typically get my payment before I leave, because considering the nature of this business, he's probably gotten burned by a lot of people before putting in. And so I think he's just not used to dealing with governmental entities. So I have a feeling if it doesn't go through, it's either gonna be 2 weeks or this guy's gonna send you emails every day.
Well, he had to have this thing made for us, so, I mean, he made it, but
Custom made.
the other piece, after we pulled the PO and sent it to him for the 11/6, I mean, he basically was saying, hey, well, I need 40% deposit. I said, absolutely not. I said, our PO is our legal obligation to pay. So that was something he said, all right, I'll waive that part. So he's worked with us so far. And so I just want to, whatever y'all want to do, I'm going to tell him, hey, we'll delay installation, but.
I'm one that takes deposits all the time, and I do deal with a lot of governmental agencies, and usually it's after a certain period of time, but since the amount is small, I'm okay with it.
I'll make a motion.
All right, we've got a motion to authorize the administration to process a check payable to Bayou Solutions DBA Shade Doctor LLC in the amount of $11,600 following the receipt and installation of the sunscreen at 1928 Depot Way for the sunscreen on stage at the train depot grounds from the capital, paid from the capital funds project account number 305-192-900-333. I'm going to add one thing into that it's successfully inspected before payment's made. That motion's made by Councilman, I'll make that motion. You want a second?
That's fine.
Second by Councilman DeSalvo. Any discussion? Vote to motion?
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Hope it works.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you wanna go to, asset disposal, Mike?
Consent agenda, Gary.
Consent agenda.
Okay, yeah. 11 through, I'm gonna pull the, grass cutting out, and let's see.
Grass cutting is item number 12.
Yes. Anybody got any?
There's a couple boards on the inside that they waiting on parts to replace, like, I think it's 3 boards in there to get 3 rooms, working like they should. But that's on the computer side of it, not on the chiller and all that.
That's all I had on that. Okay, let's,
Motion to approve consent agenda except for item 12.
motion by Councilman Seal to approve
Second.
consent agenda other than item 12.
Second.
Councilman Hoffman, any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 6-0. Item 12, grass cutting contract. I did review everything, it looked good. I was glad we went out for bid on this. The last customer that had it was Gulf Breeze. They do have the stuff, they came in considerably higher. And, I know that Lombardo is gonna be the lowest and the best, but that's what y'all's recommendation. I looked at the other ones, and one of them don't even look like they have the,
I wish it would've been that cheap.
Got his cousin-in-law helping him out.
Yeah.
Push, couple push modes.
2-man
Yeah.
show.
yeah, so I'm satisfied. Make a somebody wanna make a motion to
Motion to
accept
accept grass cutting contracts.
with Lombardo,
Yeah, Lombardo Industries.
and they authorized the mayor to execute the contract. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve contract with Lombardo Industries for grass cutting services, authorize the mayor to execute the contract. And the contract did come in at, I don't think there was any change, correct?
278.
Let's see, I didn't get down to.
I don't have it.
I'm sorry, I'll get to it in a second.
What, total price of
Total.
contract? 479.
Just remember that payment is made on a unit base as they cut each
479,
piece.
620.
So if
yeah.
they don't cut so many cuts, they don't
Right.
get paid.
Yes, that's based on 22 cuts and
We kind of
30.
identified
30.
each line item so Ronnie can say, yep.
Remember, we increased
479, 620.
The number of
On
cuts.
estimates, yeah,
Cuts
it's actuals is
the
what
4
the,
corridors, cuts
Right.
on 603 from tree line to tree line, some ditches throughout the city and through yards.
Yeah,
and
talking to
things.
Mike.
Main drains.
Yeah, so there were some things added from the original contract that was included, in the last one we had looked at and all, so that's where we're at.
Okay.
Good
I
job.
did say too, that was almost a 4-man show.
That's a long time ago.
Okay, so, if there's no discussion, vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 6-0. That
Aye.
finishes.
5-0.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Jeffrey
5-0.
wins.
Jeffrey's not here. Okay. Kinda going in a rhythm there. All right, spread reports, cash balances, revenue, expense report, grant and intergovernmental revenue, detailed grant revenue report, RG revenue, expense report, wage and hours, gaming and sales tax, HR report, harbor report, and December 2024 meetings report. Anybody got any questions on that? No, motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Seal, seconded by Councilman Hoffman. No, any discussion? Vote to motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Attorney's report, status update for SWK and Ballantyne properties.
That's if you would like to go into closed session.
Okay,
And the reason to go into closed session would be a litigation status update concerning SWK LLC versus City of Bay St. Louis, Ballantyne property versus the City of Bay St. Louis, and Warner versus the City of Bay St. Louis,
okay, motion,
Motion to go in closed session for those three?
to determine the need for executive session.
Second.
Yes.
okay, so Gene makes a motion, Doug seconds, vote to motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0.
And the meeting is now closed.
Thank y'all. Y'all can wait if y'all want, and then we'll come back out afterwards.